Welcome, everybody, to episode 2 of the Pitcher Perfect podcast. I'm one of your co-hosts, Holly Pearce. I'm co-founder of the Range Pitching Academy, and I'm joined by our other co-host, my friend, 3-time Olympian, Kat Osterman. And today, we are going to dive straight in to the 64-team bracket. Leading up to the Women's College World Series, this is the most exciting time. I don't know about you, but this is the most exciting time. In softball, there's been, 300 Division I teams playing for the last few months, trying to get to this point. And now there are 64 teams left. So if you didn't catch the selection show last night, I would go back and watch it. Super exciting. Lots of great things to look forward to. And I want to also add happy belated Mother's Day to all of our mothers out there.
Yes.
Kat, including you. Hope you
And
had a
you.
great Mother's Day. Thank you. Hope you had a great Mother's Day. I know you were working super hard all week leading up to that in Oklahoma City. You want to talk about your trip out there? You brought JC, right?
Yeah. I got asked by the Big 12 to cover the Big 12 tournament. So it was the 9 games prior to the championship game. The championship game is staffed by ESPN. So that was covered by Danielle Lowry and Madison Shipman. So I had 9 games in 3 days. We had 3 on Wednesday, 4 on Thursday, 2 on Friday. And so it makes for some long days and a lot of softball talk. But I enjoyed it. Obviously you and I have talked. Being a travel ball coach, I think it was 8 or 9 different athletes competing in the tournament. So that's fun to see them from afar. And if they actually, get to play and do well, I get to kind of talk about them a little bit too. So one of them did extremely well for Arizona State, the catcher, Sam Swan. So I got to talk about her because she had a home run and a double off Ruby Malin that helped spark their win against Oklahoma State. And then I got to coach Maya Davis for a year at Texas Tech, and obviously she's their leadoff. She's done some great things. So not a whole lot of pitching talk, but I got to see a lot of my kiddos and talk about them. And then other than that, with those families there, Joey and JC flew up on Wednesday and got to see all of our friends, and JC ran around the park. She got to meet Coach Candrea, so she has checked the GOAT of softball off of her list there. One day she'll understand that she's met all these people because she got a picture with Caitlin Lowe and previous, she's met Madison Shipman and she's met Michelle Smith and in the booth and whatnot when they're in Texas. But yeah, she got to run around Hall of Fame Stadium and be a kid, but it was nice to have them there. Just to, at the end of the day, be with family and not just solo.
It's funny actually because my daughter Gia knows that we've been doing this podcast and stuff. She's been looking at all the clips. She's kind of has her own, she has the kids YouTube, right? So she's like, I want to see you on YouTube. So I pulled up episode 1 for her. And so she is familiar with you. And then we were watching the tournament on TV and then they showed you and she was like, Mom, that's Kat. Like it's kind of cool for her even to, at her age now, she's 8, to recognize people that she knows up on TV. And she got to see you. So that was pretty cool.
Fun. Yeah, no, it was nice. And there was a lot of good pitching. So excited to kind of get into the Big 12 teams that made it in the tournament, as well as all the other stud pitchers that we get to review here.
Any surprises in the Big 12 tournament for you? Like were you surprised by any outcomes?
Really? Iowa State came on really late. Well, I shouldn't say late in season, but late, like as far as conference. So they didn't have a great pre-conference season. And then in conference play, I think they won every series but one. And so a lot of eyes were already turned on them. So when they won their opening game against BYU, it wasn't shocking. But I think if you're a common softball fan and you weren't really following, they might have had some people going, thinking BYU was going to win. Now, I think if BYU beats Iowa State, BYU might not have been one of the first 4 out of this NCAA tournament. But the fun part was that win for Iowa State was actually Jaden Ralston's first complete game in her entire college career. Now, she's only a sophomore, but still, that was her first complete game. Yeah, and it was a win against BYU. Yeah, so that was really cool to get to, witness and see, and she did a great job executing their game plan. But other than that, I think some people might have been shocked that ASU upset Oklahoma State, but if you've, again, been watching the Big 12, I really think they were evenly matched. I mean, they were the 4-5 seeds facing off, and Kinsey Brown has been absolutely throwing lights out for Arizona State. I know she led the conference in strikeouts. She's in the top at least 2 or 3, I believe, in the country in strikeouts. So, she obviously had them going. Her changeup was absolutely nasty.
That was.
Oklahoma State had no answer for it except for Megan Bloodworth. She was the only one who really put it in play hard. So it was fun. It really was a weekend, to be honest, talking about changeups. Like every pitcher in the Big 12, I felt like, was utilizing a devastating changeup in some way, shape, or form. Even Baylor, Lily Walker pitched for Baylor, and she has a nice little off-speed pitch. And if you're watching, it's not as speed differential as like a Nyjah or a Kinsey Brown, but it was enough that when they were playing Tech, even early innings, she was getting people out because they were swinging early and they were way ahead of it, and she was getting pop-ups and weak grounders. So it was fun to see the changeup in there. And I think, for me, I didn't throw a changeup a whole lot. And so I always think of, vertical pitches as the out pitch and like how to set those up, and like just watching these pitchers all utilize a great changeup. It was really fun to see.
I totally noticed the same thing, and it was fun to watch. I call them silly swings when you really get batters like out in front. It's just so fun to watch as a pitcher and a pitching fan to see pitchers make hitters just kind of look silly on those pitches. Like, they're going back to the dugout not feeling so good about themselves.
Right.
So, okay. All right. You ready to get into it?
Let's do it.
All right. So the 64-team NCAA Division I softball championship bracket. What are your thoughts? Number one, we have a first time ever number one seed, Texas A&M. First time ever being seeded number one. And in my mind, rightfully so. I think they've had a really great season. I think they've kind of got all the moving pieces and parts, and they're really fun to watch. I'm a big Emily Kennedy fan. Love her. I had the great opportunity to work the Pitching Angel experience, and she was my partner. She works the station with me, so I got to know her, and I'm just a really big fan. So I'm excited to see her doing well. But that's going to be the first bracket, the first matchup. We got Texas A&M with St. Francis, Marist, and Liberty. What do you think about that one?
Well, I think, A&M's the one seed, and so they're going to look to come out of that one. And, like you said, they have all the pieces. Offensively, they're putting up runs. Base running is incredible. But let's just hit to the point that we're here for, is pitching. Emily Kennedy is leading the charge. I think as of late, she's thrown more than she did early mid-season, but I still think, and this is what Trisha Ford tried to answer in the offseason, is who can back her up in the postseason. And they got transfers out of Grace Sparks and Sydney Peters. And now I know Peters has, I think, been sidelined. I don't know if she's back yet or not, but Grace Sparks has been throwing. She has a freshman in Sydney Lessentine, and there's another pitcher that I am missing, but she has a staff. The question is who can be able to relieve Emily Kennedy some innings so she's not throwing every inning of postseason like she did last year. For those of you that watched, the 16 seed went to Texas last year. It was a battle to the end in that super regionals. And I think it just, by the end, Texas had seen Kennedy a lot, and Kennedy might have been tiring. Now she may hear this and be like, no, I wasn't, but still 3 games in 3 days is a lot. Yeah. And so I think that's just my question is how is the staff in postseason going to back Emily Kennedy up?
Hopefully they have the offensive support too, that it seems like they do have the offensive support that, no matter what, they do have the depth to be able to back her up, but if they can put a good amount of runs on the board too, it seems like they've got pretty solid offense. Maya Perez, Mac Barbara, transfer from San Diego State, has been doing really well for them. So they're a fun team to watch. I really like watching Texas A&M. Definitely a big fan. Sorry, I don't know if that's a touchy subject as a Texas alum, but Texas A&M, fun team to watch for sure.
Yeah, no, they're fun and they're competitive. So I have no doubt that they'll come out of this one, and it's the regional that they match up with that I'm the most excited to watch. So that 16 seed regional.
So the 16 seed regional is, you want to go into that one?
Yeah, let's go to that one. So it's going to be Oregon, Weber State, Binghamton, and Stanford. And I am most excited because I think Stanford has probably gone under the radar for a lot of season, because the big question or the big move was that Nyjah Kennedy left there. Well, this year, Stanford's been putting up some runs.
Yes, they have.
And they've been holding their own. I mean, they have a pitching staff that has been able to be utilized as a staff to be able to win some games, some big games at that. And so they're tested. And they did move to the Big Ten this year, so a little different schedule than a Pac conference schedule. But I still think, no, they moved to the ACC. I just said that completely wrong. They moved to the ACC, but they still played, the likes of Clemson and Duke and, yeah. So they're tested, but I think, and this might be my one or two upset picks is I really like Stanford coming out of that Oregon regional.
I think they've got a chance, and I'll be try not to be biased to the pitchers at Stanford.
You can be biased. It's fine.
Two of my girls, Zoe Prostyko, she's a freshman there this year. Coached her since she was like in 7th, 8th grade. And she's got some special stuff. Like when she's on, she's on. So, she's obviously young, but she's done a few like special things this year in some big games. She's definitely got some time and room to grow, but we'll see how she levels up here in postseason. And if she's able to be the Zoe that I know she's capable of, I think she can do some big things. And the other one is my Kylie Chung. Love that girl. Love her. Just an amazing, incredible human. So as from that like standpoint, I'm definitely cheering for Stanford. But I think you're right. I think they definitely have an opportunity to maybe upset. We'll see. But that will be an interesting matchup if they do come out of that, to see how they do against Texas A&M.
Yeah, well, and you can't discount, as much as we both are predicting they could upset, you can't discount Oregon. Green's thrown well for them all year. You have Missy Lombardi, who, was the pitching guru at OU before she took this job, and now she's the pitching guru at Oregon and has been able to do some really cool things in her time there, especially her first couple years when kind of the cupboard was bare, right? They all left when Mike White left. So she's been able to put her stamp on that program. So, you can't discount the work she'll do with her staff and calling pitches, but I think that might be one of the better 1-2 when you're talking about 1 and 2 within the regional matchups that we're going to see. So I'm excited for that one, especially pitching wise.
Definitely. All right, so we want to work our way down the bracket.
Go right ahead.
The next matchup, well, one of the games or the regionals that you're going to be calling is going to be that number 8 seed regional, who will match up with the 9 seed right below the one that we were just talking about, and that's going to be...
Yes, I will be headed to Columbia, South Carolina. So South Carolina is the 8 seed, the last host that can host both regionals and supers if they win. So they're going to host Elon, North Florida, and Virginia. So I actually really like this one from a pitching perspective because I haven't done my homework on Elon yet, so I'm going to apologize. But 3 of the 4 do a really good job of utilizing a staff, even if it's only 2 arms, maybe a third, but they all have a staff that they utilize. South Carolina has Jory Hurd, and then they use Sam Gress. They have a lefty in there too. North Florida has Kyla Berry and Allison Benning, she's been there for a while, and she's been an ace, and they use them back and forth. And then Virginia, I called them earlier this year, and I think they used, at that time, they were using up to 3 or 4 pitchers. But they all use a staff and like to see how each pitcher matches up with certain parts of the lineup. South Carolina especially will change simply because of the lineup matchup and not necessarily outcomes. So I'm excited to see what this one looks like. I think a strong Virginia, if they come out and play the way they're capable of, could possibly pull an upset maybe. But it just depends. South Carolina has played some really parts of season really high and really well. And then they kind of flattened out a little bit towards the end. So it'll depend on what both teams bring. But again, to me, from the pitching perspective, there are 3 staffs that people can watch and see how they execute and how they complement each other.
And the team that comes out of that is going to be playing against the winner of another regional I'm really excited about. I am super excited about the UCLA regional. It's going to be UCLA, UC Santa Barbara, San Diego State, and Arizona State. I'm so excited about those games. I don't know about you, but I also feel like any of those teams, Arizona State, between Arizona State, San Diego State, not to discount UC Santa Barbara, and UCLA, like between those 3 especially, I think that there could be some upsets there too. I'm excited to see who comes out of that one.
Yeah, so like we mentioned with the Big 12 tournament, Kinsey Brown's for Arizona State. She's been throwing incredibly well. I can't see Arizona State throwing anybody but Kinsey as they go through this. Just the rest of their staff has had some decent performances, but not as strong as what Kinsey provides. I like the matchup with San Diego State only because, well, I shouldn't say only. I like it for many reasons. But one, Stacey Newman's done a great job there.
Definitely.
But in the postseason in recent years, they have done so well. Yeah. Like they are ready for an NCAA tournament. I think a lot of times you have mid-majors that get excited to be there. Yeah. And obviously they've been there quite a bit now, so it's not an excited just to be there thing, but they've competed well and they've been able to utilize a pitching staff mindset too.
Yeah. And even being a mid-major, when you have somebody at the helm like Stacey Newman who has the experience, she has been there. She's been to every level, won at every level. So you've got somebody, I think that she keeps their team acting like they've been there before, even though they are a mid-major team. As far as pitching goes, Cece Salura, I have to say, has been doing fantastic. She's also one of my girls. Shout out to Cece. But she's actually done really well all season against some really big teams. Even in Palm Springs last year, her first weekend out as a freshman, I mean, she really held Oklahoma in the innings that she went in against them. So she's done some good things against big teams and really utilized a good mindset where she doesn't let the big moments against big teams overwhelm her. And I like the staff between her utilizing Didi Hernandez, who throws completely differently than her, really off speed, keeps people off balance, that kind of stuff. But I really like you said, the staff mindset, and the staff that they have at San Diego State has been really fun for me to watch, especially being a fan of those girls. But I like them. Obviously, UCLA, same thing. I think they've got a great staff. Fun to watch. And then you can speak more to Arizona State because you were just calling their games this weekend. But
no, and I think in the other piece, I mean, I'm going to shout out just real quick. Don't know a whole lot about their pitching, but UC Santa Barbara and Coach Joe Evans, who came over from Texas A&M, great job in getting them postseason experience and here in the tournament. And I think, a lot of those mid-majors in California probably pray that maybe they get sent outside of California instead of, I'm sure Stacey Newman's going UCLA again.
I know, right?
It's no different. When I was at Texas State, we used to cross our fingers and hope we'd get sent somewhere else other than Texas or A&M. And then the one year we did, well, one of the two, we got sent to UCLA, and we were like, maybe we shouldn't have prayed to go outside of state. But yeah, I think, again, there's so much good pitching across the board that all these regionals are going to have good arms. But I think the big thing for that one is Arizona State will probably use an ace, and then the other ones will probably utilize a staff. Obviously, UCLA has two kind of aces, workhorses, Caitlin Terry and Tinsley Taylor Tinsley, right?
Taylor Tinsley, yeah.
Okay. I should know that, but I always get it mixed up. But, they can utilize any one of those two, which gives them a good shot in the fact that you don't have to exhaust one arm, but we'll see how that one unfolds. You want to go down to the next one where Florida State's going to host Robert Morris, South Florida, and Auburn. Florida State's the 5 seed in this tournament.
Love Florida State, I have to say. I just think I love the way Lonnie Alameda uses pitching staffs and what she does with the pitching changes she makes. They just feel so calculated and well thought out and in the moment. She just kind of seems to match pitchers up with certain batters and certain situations, which it's almost like what you see in baseball. You know what I mean? She really does utilize staffs in a very strategic way. And that to me is fun to watch. I love the strategic part of the game, especially when it comes to pitching. And then, of course, you got Michaela Edenfield behind the plate, who is also, even though we're talking about pitchers here, she's a part of that battery, and she is so fun to watch.
Pitcher's best friend.
She's amazing. She's so cool. And when I had the opportunity this year to go to Puerto Vallarta and watch Florida State, and I met her, and she is just, I have to say, she's just a cool, nice girl. She's just very humble, very friendly, super down to earth, and had a great conversation with her. And just, like I said, big fan. I'm starting to become fans of a lot of these girls this year. And then it's you want good games, but you're also start cheering for certain players because it's I want it for her so bad.
Hey, the plus side is, since you're a Volts fan, she should be joining my roster after this season. So it fits right in.
Well, I am definitely going to be sporting Volts gear. I need some Volts gear, by the way. So, but I'm going to have to send you my address.
Yeah. Out of the Florida State regional, though, I like the Auburn and South Florida matchup as well. Ken Erickson is notorious for using multiple arms. He has, I think 2 aces that he relies on. And then after that, he has 3 or 4 that he can mix in. Again, similar to Florida State, lefty-lefty matchup. If somebody hits, certain pitches better. And then Auburn, the Malvos took over this year. Riker Chasen, one of my favorite people to talk pitching with, has been able to piece that staff together the way they needed. My girl, S.J. Guerin, transferred from OU over to Auburn, having an absolutely incredible year. Probably pitching in some more situations that if they have a couple other arms, she may, get some relief. But she is just absolutely thriving over there, which is fun to see. And I'm really excited because I think Auburn kind of has the why not us mentality. Everyone kind of didn't know what to expect from them. They started the season with a bang. SJ came out throwing lights out, and it's not strikeout numbers. She just does really good at spinning and spotting. She gets fly balls. Will mix speeds well. I mean, don't get me wrong, she'll get some strikeouts, but it's not like she's averaging 2 an inning or something. But she's done. She does. She pitches to contact.
Yeah, I think that a lot of times pitch to contact type pitchers are sometimes overlooked, and in terms of the notoriety or like the talk that they get. You know what I mean? That how much people really give them credit, but an out's an out. There's always a time for a big strikeout, but an out, if you're able to get good hitters out, you've got a chance to. You definitely are giving your team a chance to win.
Yeah, and I think the biggest thing I've seen from her is that I think she got put in against Mississippi State. First pitch or second pitch gave up home run. It might have even been grand slam. I don't remember, but it was a home run. And then after that, she just settled down, and I don't think they got but 1 or 2 hits the rest of the game after that. So she kind of, she can short-term memory just move on from that pitch and keep going. And Auburn's needed that. So I'm excited to see what Auburn can bring against Florida State because it is a different look. It's not your crazy strikeout pitches, but she can mix multiple speeds and keep you off balance.
And so then now we go to the winner of that regional is going to play whoever comes out of the number 12 seed, Texas Tech Regional, Nyjah Kennedy. Yep. So there we got Texas Tech, Brown, Washington, and Mississippi State. How do you like that matchup?
I like it. I don't think it is any type of cakewalk. Nyjah threw in all 3 games of Big 12 tournament. Mississippi State has beaten Nyjah earlier this year. Mississippi State also saw Nyjah last year in regionals at Stanford. So Mississippi State has a lot of film on Nyjah and hitting Nyjah. And I will say, while Nyjah is still having a great year, she's a tremendous pitcher. Her big thing when she was looking for where she wanted to go, she didn't want to have to reinvent herself. She just wanted to be able to add on to it. She has not reinvented herself. I will say from calling their games, and don't get me wrong, she throws upper 60s to 70. The rise ball, the changeup is still nasty. I don't know that she's really added another pitch that they throw a ton. Occasionally you'll see a curveball. I haven't seen the drop ball. I didn't see the drop ball as much in Big 12 tournament, but they did throw the changeup a lot. So I think a lot of times when people were sitting for the rise to not chase it, she threw a change, froze them, and got a lot of strikeouts. But Mississippi State, very familiar with Nyjah, so I think that's the matchup that really has me, starring that regional is what is it going to look like with those 2 squads, and the fact that Mississippi State is feisty.
Yeah.
And they have arms themselves. Raylan Chafin got drafted in the AUSL. They have a lefty. I don't know her name off the top of my head, but she spins it really well. You watch their games, and they upset Texas once. They've upset Tennessee, I think. They've had some big wins, and now they just have to put a couple of those together, and they're more than capable.
Yeah, they're familiar with, strength of schedule. They played some good teams, so they definitely have that experience against good pitching, good teams. All right, going down to the next one is going to be the number 13 seed, Arizona, hosting against Santa Clara, Grand Canyon, and Ole Miss. What do you think about that?
Well, Arizona's got another staff. We saw Miranda Stoddard. We saw Devin Netz, obviously, the 2-way player, Big 12 Player of the Year. We saw Ryan Maddox a little bit, the crafty lefty.
Ryan Maddox, I think, has... in the travel ball world, Ryan Maddox threw quite a lot against both of us when she was on Batbusters. So we pretty familiar with her. I
think she single-handedly beat us 3 times in one summer. And then they threw Saya Swain. They also had, I think her name's Aisa. Or Issa, she's a lefty. She came in to throw against left-handed hitters a couple times. So they have a staff that they utilize. I think the big thing...
8 pitchers on their staff.
Yeah. I think the big piece for them is going to be to figure out how much you use nets and when is it worth risking to put somebody else in. I will say Saya Swain pitched against Iowa State, which is her former team in the Big 12 tournament. Her first inning looked phenomenal. She came in, changeup worked, she was throwing hard, and then the next inning she got herself in a little bit of trouble with some walks, and they ended up putting nets back in to finish the games. There's going to be some pieces of execution, I think, that probably will get fine-tuned over the next couple of days because they'll practice at home Monday through Wednesday and their official practice on site Thursday. But I like what they bring as far as looks. Out of that regional, though, Ole Miss is throwing it pretty well. Marty's freshman, I don't even know how to say her last name. The rise ball girl. That's what I called her all summer too. She throws a rise ball and a change up, but that rise ball like can be stair stepped and is different levels, and it doesn't look like it's getting on you at 70, but she spins it so well. And then they have Brie Lopez, who has been kind of a change up specialist, being able to mix in there as well. So I've liked what they've done here recently because as of late, their staff is pieced together well, and they've been able to mix and match.
I'm gonna try and find her name. Let's see.
Starts with a G, if I remember right.
Well, they also have Percy Lama. She was on Mercado. She's good too. I don't know how much she's thrown this year.
I feel bad. I don't know her name, but I just said the right. And she's the only one that really pitched for Marty all summer.
Right.
Is it Miali? Gauchino?
Yes.
Miali? Miali
Yeah.
Gauchino? Yeah.
Yes, that's her.
Yeah,
Great.
she's done phenomenal. And I liked watching her in the summer too, don't get me wrong.
Correct us if we're wrong. Miali Guacchino. That's what I'm going to say. That's what I'm going to call it. Guacchino.
If I mispronounce your name, I'm sorry, but I do like watching you play.
Yeah, same.
You know, looking at her stats right now, like she pitched in their win against Clemson. She has pitched against 6 innings in their win against Arkansas. She pitched in their 2 wins against Iowa State. She beat Missouri. She did not beat South Carolina. She pitched 5.2 in their win against Tennessee.
Well, so she's got some innings against some really good teams.
Yeah, and then 4 innings against Mississippi State. So, I mean, she's gotten a lot of experience this year, which is what you want from a freshman that you think is going to be so impactful. But
Right.
Ole Miss in that regional will be feisty as well. But there's a lot of these 1-2 when you get into the middle of the bracket that I think are going to be really, really good contested games.
Yeah. And the winner of that is going to play the number 4 seed regional, or the whoever comes out of that regional for the number 4 seed. Arkansas, that's Arkansas, St. Louis, Indiana, and Oklahoma State. I like that regional. I think especially, I mean, I'm a big Oklahoma State fan. I love Kenny, and I just think they're a fun team to watch. I love Ruby Malin. I think that she has the ability to beat anybody on her best day. But, you know, Arkansas obviously is a good team, and even, I mean, Indiana, dang. There could be some upsets there as well. I mean, what do you think about that one?
Yeah, there could. I think the big thing is for this matchup, and let's go with the 1 and 2 with Arkansas and Oklahoma State, is that Arkansas has primarily used one pitcher, so to speak, especially here of late. Robin Herron has been throwing. She's thrown 128 innings. The next closest is Peyton Burnham. Now, she does have 97 innings, but I feel like they've relied on just those 1 or 2 arms, and Oklahoma State's very similar. Here of late, they've relied a lot on Ruby. Riley Crandall started to pick up here late in season. That was something I know Kenny Gajewski was excited to see in the Big 12 tournament, but they didn't ever need to use Riley because they lost the first game with Ruby. But they're going to need, if they're going to get through this, they're going to need Riley to have some big games and some big innings. The other ones they've had some okay outings, but just haven't been consistent. I think that's been the one thing we're not used to seeing from Oklahoma State is the consistency in the circle from more than one pitcher. In years past, he's been able to have 2 or 3 that really were able to do things. I'm excited about that one. Indiana was one of the last 4 in, so we'll see how they fare there against Oklahoma State. And St. Louis, I want to say I might have seen they might be in for the first time. I thought I saw something about that. It could be wrong.
34 and 22 record. I'll be honest, I don't know a whole lot about him, but excited to watch that.
I think that might be the one regional where we're not talking about staffs as much as they maybe just using their aces or their 1A and 1B.
Yeah. So that's going to be the whole left side of the bracket. If we head over now to the right side of the bracket, can we start at the bottom with the number 2 seed?
Sure.
Because Oklahoma, what do you think their odds are of a 5-peat? They've got 4 in a row. So obviously they got to get through regionals, got to get through supers to get there. So we're talking about way ahead. But the odds of Oklahoma 5-peating, they've won the last 4 Women's College World Series in a row. What do you think their odds are to 5-peat this year?
I think, obviously the big question coming into season was they had to retool. They lost that senior class that had, I think, 9, 12, 13, something like that, athletes.
There's two, I think they have two starters that were returning only.
Yeah. Yeah, so they only have two people back, but they retooled like they always do. They develop players. They are extremely good at that. Jen Rocha, I swear, has some pitching magic wand. I want to go pitch and see how much better she can make me because she does phenomenal things with pitchers that walk in that door. And so, you can't rule out a five-peat. They've proven they can compete with the best of the best already. They won the SEC in their first year in the conference. So, I think the big question mark is all of these athletes, not many of them have experience on the big stage of regional, super, and college World Series. Right. Even their ace in the circle, Sam Landry, pitched at Louisiana. She's gone to a regional, but she has not been in a super in Oklahoma City. Yeah. So how are you going to be able to deal with, those elements? Because there is a piece that comes into play when you get to the World Series for the first time, regardless of how many times you've played in Oklahoma City. Prior to that, whether it's travel ball, Big 12, we got to play there all the time. Well, that still does not prepare you for when it's like all done up for the World Series.
And the fans, adding that second deck, the last time or the first time that I got to go to the World Series since they've had that second deck a few years ago, I mean, it's wild. The atmosphere is just, standing room only. You can't really put it into words until you're there. And you can speak to pitching on that stage, obviously, as well. But even just the buzz inside of the stadium, it's something that I would say if you ever have the opportunity as a fan, for our parents out there watching, bring your daughters if you have the opportunity and just go experience it. It is so much fun.
Yeah, I like that. I think obviously OU has a staff they'll be able to use. Sam Landry's anchoring that. Kirsten Deal's gotten in on the action. Jen Rocha is one of the best pitch callers in the country ever. Like I said, I wish I could go back and be like, hey, Jen Rocha, how would you call differently than what I did? She probably would laugh and tell me I'm crazy to ask her that. But I do like Cal. I got to call Cal earlier this year against Virginia. And they play just like their head coach. They are scrappy. They are energetic. Chelsea Spencer will tell you she tells people we're a product. And if we want people to come watch us, we have to be entertaining. So they are definitely playing with passion, entertaining. But they had a pitcher. Her last name started with a D and it's really long. Again, if I had prepared for this, I would know it off the top of my head. But she was a drop ball pitcher and she pitched against Virginia. And she did so well of just locating. Mixed a changeup in there, I think, but trusted her spin. Her defense worked behind her for the most part. When they faltered a little bit, she didn't get stressed out. She was phenomenal in that game that I called. And I think that was
Miranda Denava?
Yes.
Miranda, yes, she played for us last summer actually.
Okay. Yeah, she did really good. I was, I don't even want to say surprised because I didn't have very many expectations, but to watch a pitcher go the whole game with just one or two pitches. Again, we talked about it in episode 1. You don't have to be a jack of all trades. And she was not a jack of all trades. She was a master of
down.
Yeah, she did a great job. And I think that's part of the key is can you match up being a down ball? If you have an up ball pitcher, throw her in sporadically. Can you go back to the down ball? You're going to need those matchups, especially when you face OU.
She's actually, you said that you were impressed with her drop. Is that what you said? That yeah, she actually does have a really good rise ball. She threw in a pretty big game against Mercado last summer, beat Mercado with her rise ball, actually. So she can work both planes up and down, got a pretty good changeup. I don't know how much they utilize her up stuff. Obviously that has to come into play with pitch calling and what they're calling. But yeah, she does have the ability to work both planes. Whether or not they utilize that is to be seen, I guess. But yeah, she's only a freshman. So they've got a bright future with her for sure.
And maybe now that I'm looking at her stats, she wasn't in, it says she didn't pitch the game, but I swore it was her that I called, but maybe not. But anyways, they have a good staff that they can put together. I'm figuring out who the other pitcher was too. But we can go on to the 15 seed so we can get through all these because we still have 6 more to go.
All right, so the 15 seed, Alabama, Jackson State, Belmont, and Virginia. Who you got?
Well, again, I think Bama's been primarily using Brisky. They have other arms. It's just a matter of how long can those arms go. But I am going to say this is another one where I think the 2 seed has a really, really, really strong shot. Virginia Tech is anchored by Emma Lemley. They can hit the ball. Corey McMillan is leading the country in home runs. I think she's in the 30s maybe. I could be wrong. It's high 20s if it's not already in the 30s. And I think, and behind her, there's still more. I mean, behind Emma Lemley, she has offense. Bree Peck can hit. I mentioned McMillan, just up and down the lineup. Pete Demore has done a great job there. And so Going into Alabama is always the task because they pack Rhodes House. Bama fans are loud, they're boisterous. I do know the two teams were able to square off earlier this year. And so, there's familiarity there. But I think Virginia Tech could possibly take this one. I think the big question mark is going to be kind of the 10th or 11th man, whatever you want to call it, of the crowd at Rhodes House.
Yeah, definitely.
And the Cal pitcher I was talking about was Annabella Tepperson, so it wasn't a D. But she has the drop ball. She's really good.
Okay. All right. The one above it. Should we move up the bracket because the next one is one of the most exciting two matchups. Whoever comes out of these two, the 7 seed and the 10 seed, whoever comes out of these two, this could be a great super regional. Okay, let's go 7 seed, top of that part. 7 seed is Tennessee hosting Miami of Ohio, North Carolina, Ohio State. The winner of that regional will play the winner of the number 10 seed LSU regional, which is Southeastern, along with LSU, UConn, and Nebraska, Geordie Ball. We could potentially have a Pickens Ball super regional matchup if those teams were to come out. But how do you see those regionals, with regionals first, how do you see those regionals working out, and what's the potential that Nebraska will come out of theirs and end up facing Tennessee? Because gosh, that matchup, that's a great pitching matchup.
Yeah, it is. So LSU is going to be challenged right off the bat. First of all, Southeastern Louisiana is scrappy. They put a run in their regional last year. They can hit. They do all the little things. But at the same time, they have Nebraska and, as you mentioned, Geordie Ball. So if you want some great pitching, all eyes are down in Baton Rouge this weekend. Jealous of whoever's calling that one because, yeah, that's a great pitching matchup with Geordie Ball. And whether it's Sidney Berzon, if it's Heavner, whoever Beth Trina pieces together, that'll be an exciting game. Plus, not to mention, Nebraska got a ton of transfers in the offseason to help offset that. And so while they have Jordy coming back from injury, they got Kylie McGee from Arizona State and a bunch of other pieces that have started to come together. The Tennessee Regional, as much as I'd like to talk pitching, you have Carlin Pickens. Yes. You have Paige Marjeko that's backing her up. That is a hitting regional.
Ohio State. Oh my goodness.
Miami of Ohio can hit. Ohio State can hit. Now the interesting piece here is, depending on winning and losing, Miami of Ohio and Ohio State. Ohio State's head coach was the former head coach at Miami of Ohio. So if they match up, that's an old coach with her old players.
So,
and then you have North Carolina.
Watch that one, and with that in the back of your head, it's always fun to know these things.
Right. And then North Carolina has been able to really put up runs this year too. They have Kat Rodriguez, who is leading the country in RBIs. So that's more of a hitting regional, but I still think Tennessee with Pickens comes out of that. She's one of the best pitchers in the country this year. Right upside. I would be hard pressed to pick between her and Nyjah. I saw her absolutely dominate Texas for 2 games, one watching and one calling. It's absolutely fun to watch her work. But then Tennessee LSU is going to obviously be an SEC matchup. And so again, it'll be the cat and mouse game because those two teams know each other like the back of their hand.
Speaking of North Carolina, they have a pitcher named Britton Rogers. Do you happen to know who Britton Rogers' mom is?
I do. Courtney Blades. She pitched at Southern Miss under Lou Harris-Chamber.
One of the best pitchers to ever pitch the game.
She held the all-time strikeout record up until 2005. And then I broke it, and then in 2007, Monica broke it.
Yep. So a little background there. If you're watching the North Carolina regional and you happen to see Britton Rogers out there on the mound, she comes from a lineage of great pitching. Her
mom was phenomenal. Courtney Blades was absolutely phenomenal to watch.
I had the great pleasure of coaching Britton in travel ball, and her mom was around, so she's a cool lady to get to know. So she's awesome.
And she actually, wherever Lou started, which was not at Southern Miss, Courtney transferred with her way back when transferring was I believe so. I believe she pitched 1 year somewhere else, if I remember right. And then Lou got that job, and so she went with her.
Interesting. All right. So up to now we're working our way to the end. We've got the let's go number 6 seed, your Texas Longhorns. They are going to be hosting Eastern Illinois, Michigan, and UCF. What do you think?
Yeah, I think that's going to be a tightly contested regional as well. Texas coming off not the greatest ending of the SEC tournament, although they did muster out a win against Ole Miss. They were able to muscle that out. Eastern Illinois has been in the postseason for the last couple years. Tara Archibald, who's now at Texas Tech with her dad Jerry, was the head coach there. So they are tested. They've done postseason again. Not just happy to be there. And then you have Michigan, who upset UCLA in the Big Ten tournament. So, like, they're coming off of a high. And UCF and Cindy Ball Malone, I mean, she's gotten UCF to be in the conversation for postseason every year now. She has a freshman in Isabella Vega, who really good rise ball changeup combo. She has a senior in Kaiten Felton. When she's on, her drop ball is pretty good. I watched her beat Oklahoma State, and she battled through some free passes and stuff, but she was able to compete. And then she has another arm, I'm gonna butcher this. Yanencia, I think it is, Lopez. And I haven't seen her throw, but she's been a strong piece for them this year when you look at stats and numbers. So I think that one's gonna again kind of be, I'm gonna lean towards who has experience. Texas has the most experience out of that regional. Tegan Cavan will be fresh because she didn't pitch in that game against A&M. She'll have all week to kind of do whatever she needs to do bullpen-wise to be ready. But I really think it'll be interesting to see who out of the other three come back to be in the final of that one. UCF has experience, but they're young this year.
Right.
They are young. They only have 2 people playing on the field from last year, and they're not even in their same position. So, like, almost everyone is in a different position this year. They're still young. I think they're doing really well, and I think they'll use that youth to their advantage at regionals. But unbiased or biased, call it how you wish. I'm gonna pick Texas out of that.
I think that's fair. Totally fair. But the winner of that is going to face whoever comes out at the 11 seed regional. That's going to be the Clemson regional. And they've got USC Upstate, Northwestern, and Kentucky.
I like Clemson. Basinger was the ACC Pitcher of the Year. John Rittman and his staff do a really good job of mixing and matching her and McCubbin. And they actually have a Macy Cintron who plays first a lot, but she can come in as well. I watched them beat South Carolina, I guess the last, right at the 2/3 mark of season. And man, they used Basing, and then they brought in McCubbin. And I mean, when they brought in McCubbin, it was like the perfect time to just change pace, change your pitcher, and Clemson fed off of it. It wasn't a very exciting game when I'm saying like hit after hit after hit. I mean, it was a 2-1 game and all 3 runs were scored on home runs. But you had a left fielder rob a ball. You had Clemson turn in a close double play. Like, you just had all these other elements. So I like what Clemson brings to the table. USC Upstate usually has some pretty good pitching. I haven't followed them a whole lot this year, but they're usually known to have some good pitching. And then Northwestern and Kentucky. Kentucky uses a whole staff, right. Sometimes all 4 in a game. And they need to. They don't have somebody who's just, real dominant yet. They have some young pieces. And then, Northwestern last year only probably had 2 arms that they were really utilizing. And so, they had to go find some answers in the bullpen, but obviously have put together a season that's put them in the postseason conversation.
All right. And now up to our last part of the bracket. We're moving up to the top right side. So the very top of that right side bracket is going to be the number 3 seed Florida. They are hosting against Mercer, Georgia Tech, and Florida Atlantic. And the winner of that regional will come out and play the number 14 seed regional winner, which is Duke. They're hosting Howard, Coastal Carolina, and Georgia. So let's start with that Florida regional. Florida, how do you see them matching up against Mercer, Georgia Tech?
Well, I'm just going to say this. No one should take Mercer for granted. They upset Georgia and Georgia Tech both this season. When I called Georgia at Georgia Tech, and Aileen Morales said, well, I guess we're playing for second place in the state because Mercer beat us both. So Mercer really gained some respect this year, and this is their first time in the tournament. So it's going to be managing the emotions of being in the NCAA tournament, being at a host site, all the signage, all the hoorah that comes with being in regionals, right?
And being in regionals at Florida.
And at Florida. But they have kind of a 1-2 punch that they use. I know the game I called of Mercer versus Georgia, their plan was to have switched after one time through, but their starter was still going well and only like 2 hard hits. And so they kind of kept going until the first sign of trouble later, and then they switched. They didn't wait too late. But their pitching coach is Courtney Gettins, and she was a junior college pitcher, pitched at Alabama. So she's been, under that umbrella, G8 at Texas for a while, and then got the job over there at Mercer. So she's been around some really great pitching minds, and you can tell as a pitching coach, you can watch pitch calling and how she's able to prepare them. So I don't take Mercer for granted if I'm anybody. Georgia Tech and Florida Atlantic are going to be interesting because they both, again, have like two arms that they utilize. Georgia Tech has a pair, one goes up and one goes down. And I mean, it's Norton goes down and I think it's Vopel goes up. Both have change ups, but like they're very contrast. So when you substitute one in for the other, it really changes the look for offenses. And then Florida Atlantic, man, they have, I can't even say cockiest because it's not cocky. It's just Ainsley Lambert gets out there and struts her stuff and she knows she's good. But it's not like, hey, I think I'm better. It's just like, I'm in the game. It's my time and let's go. And she's fun to watch.
She has a persona.
She typically,
Let's
yes,
call it persona.
that is the best. Yes, she has a persona, and she has embraced the closing role for them, and she does a great job at it. So it'll be that'll be a fun matchup to watch when you're talking about just pitching in general. And then we know Florida. Florida has Rothrock, Ava Brown. They have a freshman too that's been throwing really well. She played for whatchamacallit, Thunderbolts.
Oh.
I can't remember her name. Redhead. But yeah, she's been throwing it well too. So Florida's stacked, but I think it'll be interesting to see the competition in that regional and how it all plays out.
And then down to the Duke Regional. This is our last one. So the winner of that's going to come out and play the winner of the Duke Regional. Like I said, it's Duke, Howard, Coastal Carolina, and Georgia.
Yeah, I think obviously Tori Tyson does a great job of getting Howard into the postseason almost every year now. She's doing a phenomenal job there. Duke has a 1-2 punch in the circle as well. Cassidy Curd still there, the lefty. And then again, they complement her with a down ball kid. That might be the girl with the long D last name. I should have probably prepared before we did this podcast, huh? Just been a little busy.
Yeah, ESPN and all.
Yeah. Danny Drogmueller. She complements Curd. She's right-handed down. Curd's left-handed up spin. I think this is another regional that might be more hitting based than pitching. Georgia's two pitchers are very similar. You have Lily Backus and Randy Rolling, both left-handed, both majority up spin. Lily has a little bit better changeup. And then Coastal Carolina has always been known to be able to hit. But obviously they won the Sun Belt tournament, so here they are in postseason.
Well, I'm super excited. Hopefully that gave all of you guys listening some good insight. So now when you go in this upcoming week to watch these matchups, you've got a little inside information, inside track, make these games a little more exciting to watch. Now that you've got that insight, like I said, and I don't know, what do you think? Super excited. How excited are you?
I'm excited. I think it's going to be a fun weekend, and then obviously we'll see what Supers unveils, and we can discuss the pitching matchups there later. But I think no matter where you turn, what series you're going to follow, all of them, you're going to see some excitement. But I really think it'll be interesting to see how people utilize their pitching staffs come regionals.
Yeah. So all you guys listening, weigh in, comment in the comments below if you're watching this, and let us know who you guys are excited to watch. I'm excited to hear your thoughts on the matchups and weigh in on what you think. Where did we get it right? Where did we get it wrong? And
don't tell us we got people's names wrong. I know that already.
I know. Sorry. We apologize. We're big fans.
We pivoted. This wasn't supposed to be episode 2, but we pivoted for you guys.
We did. We shifted things because, postseason is just, how could you not talk about postseason? It's so exciting.
Yeah.
So, anywho, thank you guys for tuning in to episode 2. If you're not already subscribed, make sure you subscribe on YouTube and Spotify, comment, like, share with your friends, and we will see you guys on episode 3. Thanks for tuning in.